Alright, so we're gonna be reacting to this video called Why Can't Squidward Escape His Job by Spot? I also want to say something about Squidward. So, I think on like season 4 or 5, it was revealed that like Squidward was only working at job. He was supposed to only stay there until his clarinet career took off or some shit like that. As y'all can see, that did not work out for Squidward. Like, if he's still working there. We seen him play the clarinet. We know he can't play for shit. He sucks at planning. No one likes how he played the clarinet. Literally, the whole town knows Squidward and his clarinet. He can't play. He don't know how to play. His career has not taken off. He's still working at the Krusty Krab. Ain't nowhere else for him to go. And also, y'all remember like the dude that worked there before SpongeBob actually came to work at the Krusty Krab? He tried to warn Squidward. But he ain't listen. I remember him saying like, hey Squidward, what if your career doesn't take off? He went to talking about how they need to open up their own restaurant and shit like that. But of course, Squidward didn't listen. So now it's like, now he's stuck at the Krusty Krab working there. The other dude ditched. His money is up. He left the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs, he asked Mr. Krabs for a raise. Mr. Krabs like, hell no. He laughed right in his face. And the dude quit. You see where he at now? He got money. But what about Squidward? Nothing. He should have followed his advice. Now you stuck at the Krusty Krab. Like, you should have listened. You can't play the clarinet. So it's like, why not find a different instrument you can play if you like music? That's just me. We're gonna go ahead and dive on in and see what Spot has to say about all of this.
Squidward Q Tentacles hates his job, but for some reason he can't quit. Well, the truth is, someone is controlling Squidward, making it so he can't leave his job. Join me
who controlling him?
Squidward can't quit his job. So it's no secret that Squidward hates his job. But why would he be working there if he hates it? And before we go on, I know the show needs Squidward to be the cashier at the Krusty Krab to keep its humor. But thinking from Squidward's perspective, why would you work a job that you hate? Why wouldn't you just quit? Part 1. Squidward quitting his job.
Let's talk about it.
Squidward has quit his job on numerous occasions. In the episode Big Pink Loser, Squidward quit his job after Patrick was hired by Mr. Krabs. For some reason, he seems happy to leave his position. But towards the end of the episode, we see him rejoin the Krusty crew after SpongeBob and Patrick leave. Just before going back, we see him reading the newspaper showing he had nothing better to do and probably wasn't able to get a job. Then, in the episode,
can't even try to look for a job.
Squidward ends up quitting his job after Pearl changes the Krusty Krab. We don't see him get rehired in the episode, but it probably happened after Pearl was fired. Then, in the episode Krusty Towers, Squidward quits his job to become a guest at the Krusty Towers. We don't see him get rehired, but he probably was once the Krusty Towers became the Krusty Krab again. After that, in the episode Chum Fricassee, Squidward quit his job at the Krusty Krab, but unlike the other times, this time he actually got a job at the Chum Bucket. This marked the first time when Squidward
everything was actually working out until
once again, we don't
they ran out of chum and they didn't wait for it to cook all the way.
In the episode Boss for a Day, Squidward quit his job, but unlike any other time, SpongeBob was in charge of the Krusty Krab. This was the only time when Squidward quit his job and SpongeBob was in charge of him. After that, Squidward quit his job in the episode animation when he believes that he's going to become famous. But after learning that he actually isn't going to become famous, he walks back in and takes his position.
Trying to play the clarinet, like, play a different instrument, sir. You can't play. I ain't telling Squidward to give up on his dreams, but like, play a different instrument. You don't know how to play the clarinet. It's okay,
remember this clip, because it's going to be very important later. Squidward also quit his job in the episode Goodbye Krabby Patty.
I don't know if he's gonna mention what
Krabs was about to fire him. The interesting part in this episode is that he had his resignation speech ready. Also, Squidward struggled to get a job and was forced to come back to the Krusty Krab. Finally, the biggest example of Squidward quitting his job was in the episode Can You Spare a Dime? In the episode, Squidward is accused of stealing one of Mr. Krabs' dimes. Because of this, Squidward decides to quit his job. As the episode goes on, we learn that Squidward couldn't find a new job and actually became homeless.
He tried to sell his paintings and nobody liked them.
Taking advantage of him. This drove SpongeBob crazy, who forced Mr. Krabs to give Squidward his job back. So in all the episodes, Squidward quit his job only to come back. Only in the episodes Can You Spare a Dime, Goodbye Krabby Patty, and Chum Fricassee did he actually try to find a new job. All the other times, he quit and then just came back a little later. But the reason Squidward was able to come back was because he quit his job. If he was fired, then he wouldn't be able to come back and would be forced to look for a new job. Well, Squidward was only fired once in the entire show. The only time Squidward was fired was in the episode Squid on Strike, where he and SpongeBob were fired for planning to go on strike. After being fired, they decided to strike, and after a lot of protesting,
Mr. Krabs tried to make them pay to breathe. Like, girl.
While discussing the terms, SpongeBob used everything he'd learned from Squidward and ended up destroying the Krusty Krab. Because of this, Mr. Krabs claimed that the two would work for him forever. And that's it. That's why Squidward can't quit his job, because he and SpongeBob are forced to work for Mr. Krabs for the rest of their lives. Thank you for watching.
Girl.
Is what I would say if it wasn't for two things. The first is that Squidward has quit his job a ton of times after Season 2, without Mr. Krabs really saying anything. The second and even bigger reason is because in the Season 9 episode SpongeBob You're Fired, Mr. Krabs fired SpongeBob, which shows that he doesn't really care about what he said back in Season 2. Both of these two reasons diminish any claim that the two would have to work for him forever. So then, why can't Squidward find a job whenever he quits the Krusty Krab? Why is he forced to come back? Well, in the episode,
I recently saw a new episode in one of the newer
seasons because 17 years as a cashier is not good enough.
Apparently, you need more than 17 years behind a cash register to be qualified for dreams.
But this doesn't add up with SpongeBob's story when he was fired. When SpongeBob was fired, he actually got hired by multiple places. So if SpongeBob, who wasn't even born with
Didn't they try to kidnap him on this episode?
Can find a job with less experience, then why can't Squidward? What is wrong with him? Is he even trying to find a job? Part 2. Squidward's desires. What's interesting is that it seems that Squidward isn't even trying to find a job because he wants to keep the job that he hates. After being fired in the episode Squid on Strike, he realizes that he's going to be stuck striking forever for his job with SpongeBob, and so he decides to beg for his job back. Not once does he think about trying to get a new job.
I recently saw an episode where Squidward worked at Weenie Hut Jr. Things did not, y'all already know things didn't last long. They tried to, this is spoilers if you haven't watched it, y'all can skip this part. They tried to turn Squidward into a robot, and yeah, Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob had to save him, so had to leave that job. Anywho.
Instead, he wants to get his old job back where he has to work with SpongeBob. It's no secret that Squidward hates his job and would leave if he could. Not only do we see this in Squidward's dreams in the episode Squidward's Sick Days, but also Mr. Krabs knows that he hates his job and uses it against him.
Right.
In the episode Whale Watching, Mr. Krabs uses SpongeBob to threaten Squidward to babysit Pearl. So with all that we know, why would Squidward beg for a job he desperately hates?
One of the newer ones.
The only reason he would do so is out of desperation, to make sure that he doesn't go homeless. Or does he? In the Season 2 episode Squidville, Squidward moves to a gated community only for squids to get away from SpongeBob and Patrick. But his life starts to get repetitive and he starts to miss the chaos caused by his neighbors. But there's one thing everyone seems to miss. In the montage, we see a total of 14 days go by, and not once does Squidward attend his job at the Krusty Krab. On top of that, Squidward misses the chaos caused by SpongeBob and Patrick, meaning he hasn't seen them in 2 weeks. Also, we see Squidward buy canned bread every day. How can he afford it without a job? He bought his house in the community by selling his own house, but how can he afford to buy things when he doesn't have a job?
Who said he quit his job on this episode? He probably got a PCO.
His savings will also explain why Squidward
Mr. Krabs gonna be paying him shit. What am I talking about?
Episode Can You Spare a Dime? He had some savings to live off of while looking for a job. But once they ran out, he became homeless.
Yeah, maybe he
so
had
it was probably
savings.
a good thing that Squidward got bored of his life, otherwise he would have run out of money real soon. Also, I thought I'd mention that we only see him buy canned bread. Canned bread doesn't
That's all he can afford.
Food.
Mr. Krabs ain't paying him shit.
For broke college students. In other words, Squidward can't afford real bread.
Right.
It's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
So now we know that Squidward needs a job to survive. But why can't he get any other job? Why does he have to work at the Krusty Krab? Part 3. Why the Krusty Krab? In the episode Goodbye Krabby Patty, Squidward quits his job after getting fired. After storming out, he comes back needing his job, claiming that 17 years as a cashier is not good enough to do anything. But we already know this isn't a good excuse because SpongeBob's gotten multiple job offers after getting fired.
Right.
Some of the places
like
Squidward
3
could
jobs.
work in Bikini Bottom are Diners, the Bargain Mart, or Fancy, the fancy restaurant. One important thing about the fancy restaurant was in the episode The Big Switch. Basically, in the episode,
Squidward actually know how to cook. Why he can't work there?
For a gourmet chef for the Krusty
He should have listened to that
But
dude that
why
was
would Mr. Krabs trade SpongeBob?
there.
Why not Squidward?
Before SpongeBob.
Before we even go there, let me address
Tried
something
to
really
tell him.
quickly that I know will flood the comments if I don't. Yes, I'm aware that it's a chef exchange program, but Squidward can also cook Krabby Patties. In the episode Employee
He can
of the
cook other
Month
stuff,
for Bubble
too.
Buddy, Squidward cooks Krabby Patties perfectly. In the episode Breath of Fresh Squidward, Mr. Krabs claims that Squidward
If
is
you don't bring up
as
that
good a cook as
episode, then-
SpongeBob.
You know, he might be as good a fight cook as you.
And this shows because in the episode SpongeBob Long Pants, Squidward replaces SpongeBob after he gets long pants. While I personally don't agree that flipping burgers makes you a chef, when SpongeBob goes there, the only thing he can do is make Krabby Patties. Squidward would have been just as useful as him. So why would Mr. Krabs send SpongeBob, his loyal and underpaid chef, to the fancy restaurant in the exchange program instead of Squidward? Does Mr. Krabs maybe need Squidward? Part 4. Mr. Krabs' needs.
Let's talk about
Squidward
it.
was most likely Mr. Krabs' first employee. He's been working at the Krusty Krab since before SpongeBob and even before Jim, who was the first fry cook, mentioned in the episode The Original Fry Cook. But none
I
of
was
this
hoping
explains
he
why
would bring
Mr.
this up.
Krabs needs Squidward. Well, there might be 2 reasons you guys are thinking of. Either it's because of the Krabby Patty secret formula, or because he's the successor of the Krusty Krab. So since Squidward was the first employee of the Krusty Krab, he surely knows the secret formula. He's made the Krabby Patties, there's no way he doesn't know what's inside of them, right? It's probably the reason Krabs wants to keep Squidward under any circumstances. Well, surprisingly, he actually doesn't. In the episode Sweet and Sour Squid, Plankton tries to learn the formula from Squidward. But by the end of the episode, Squidward reveals that he actually doesn't know the ingredients of the Krabby Patty, despite working there for 20 years.
You work in the same place for 20 years and
Right, he lying. Or maybe he just don't. Maybe he don't care to remember
The
it.
reason Krabs wants to keep Squidward. The other reason Krabs might want to
probably
keep
don't care to
Squidward
remember
is
it.
because Squidward is supposed to be the successor to Mr. Krabs. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Squidward was crowned the manager of the Krusty Krab 2 instead of SpongeBob. Because of this, it seems that Mr. Krabs wants to keep Squidward around to give him the restaurant in the future. But this all gets thrown out the window by the end of the movie when Mr. Krabs gives the job to SpongeBob. And this isn't even the main reason Krabs would never hand off the restaurant to Squidward. Have you guys ever noticed that Mr. Krabs never really respected Squidward? In episodes like The Big Switch, Chum Fricassee, or Out of the Picture, Mr. Krabs disrespected Squidward so badly to the point where he would never give him the restaurant in a million years.
I don't value you at all.
Well, there's one more thing
Yeah, we know
haven't
Mr.
considered.
Krabs. We know.
Squidward's paycheck. Mr. Krabs can pay Squidward next to nothing, and he'll tolerate it. Because of this, Squidward can't be replaced, because Krabs can get away with paying him next to nothing. Compare that to anyone else who's worked in Squidward's position, and you'll see just how important he is to Mr. Krabs. In the episode Summer Job, Mrs. Puff worked at the Krusty Krab for free
remember
for
this
destroying the
episode.
restaurant. During this time, Squidward was given the summer off, but Mrs. Puff left just a few hours after because her old boyfriend was trying to exploit her. Then, in the episode Squid on Strike, a bunch of teenagers worked in place of Squidward and SpongeBob after they went on
I remember
strike,
this.
but they were fired once Mr. Krabs couldn't deal with them any longer. Old Man Walker also worked one of Squidward's shifts in the episode Pineapple Harvey. If he was even being paid, he was probably paid the same as Squidward. The difference is that he was struggling in his job. SpongeBob also worked the register many times. One of the examples was in the episode Squid's Day Off, but being the fry cook, he couldn't do both things. Mr. Krabs also worked the register in the episode Squiditis after SpongeBob and Squidward got sick. He struggled to keep the restaurant going after both of his employees left.
And he be talking all that
also
shit.
worked the register in the
You can't
episode
even work
Big
the
Big
restaurant
Loser, where it was
yourself.
revealed that he was paying Mr. Krabs $50 an hour just to work there.
And $50 an hour
Who?
too. When I started
$50 an hour?
Even though Krabs would love that deal, Patrick just couldn't run the register. Larry the Lobster also worked as a cashier in the Krusty Krab in the episode Larry the Floor Manager when Mr. Krabs goes on vacation. He did it out of the goodness of his heart, but he did end up trying to change the entire restaurant to be more healthy. Believe it or not, Plankton has also worked at the Krusty Krab in the episode Chum Caverns,
I was
where
about to
Mr.
say,
Krabs
when?
forced him to work the register because Squidward wasn't there. Obviously, Plankton won't work for Krabs in the long term. Another person who worked the register at the Krusty
SpongeBob
Krab was
cousin.
Stanley in the episode Stanley S.
That's his cousin, right?
Who's SpongeBob's cousin. In the episode, Stanley
Child, he got on my nerves.
so
I
clearly
cannot
Krabs
stand
didn't
him.
keep him for too long. The last person on this list is Karen, who worked as a cashier in the episode
Didn't Karen cuss them out
until
and
her
left
and
after
Plankton
this?
settled their differences. She was being paid nothing, which is interesting because despite getting a free
Oh yeah, she
cashier,
cussed them
he still
customers
didn't
out.
let go of
They be
Squidward.
doing too much
Why would a
sometimes.
cheapskate like Krabs
Most
keep
of the
paying
time.
Squidward when he doesn't need him? The only reason he would do so is because he knows that he can pay him next to nothing and exploit him for his work. From everyone else he's hired, he knows no one else would dehumanize themselves to the extent Squidward does. Because of this, Krabs keeps Squidward no matter what. Just to give a few more examples, in the episode Can You Spare a Dime, Mr. Krabs doesn't fire Squidward after thinking he stole his dime. After all the ruckus he made about his dime, the only reason he would do so is to hold on to Squidward. Another example was in the episode Krusty Chronosaries, where Mr. Krabs doesn't let Squidward die in peace so he can work him tonight. But the best example was in the episode Yeti Krabs,
Can't
where
even
Mr.
die in
Krabs
peace.
admits that he's trying to get a full day's worth of work out of Squidward despite there being
I
no
remember
work
this
to
one.
do.
My problem is that you aren't working, which means
Like, Mr. Krabs just be bored. Leave Squidward alone. Like, you already don't pay this nigga enough.
Which customer?
One final
Okay.
piece of information to really wrap this up was in the episode The Original Fry Cook, where Squidward doesn't mind getting paid very little because he's waiting for his music career to take off.
No thanks.
It has yet to take off.
So my clarinet
Li-
career takes off.
Find a different
remember
instrument
this
to
clip,
play.
because it's going to be very important later. As we see in the
Yes,
episode,
I'm glad he
when
brought
Jim
this up.
asks for a raise, he gets laughed out of the room. And
Right, he
eventually
quit right
quits.
afterwards.
So
And he's
Squidward
successful
is still
now.
being paid what he was being paid nearly 20 years ago when he first started working at the Krusty Krab. If Squidward had the balls to quit, he too could have had a career like Jim. But sadly, he's not
clock
as talented
it.
or brave as Jim is. Because of this, Squidward is the
Man, I would've
perfect guy
been
for
left.
Mr. Krabs to exploit. It's clear why Mr. Krabs would want to keep Squidward, but does Squidward want to stay at the Krusty Krab? Part 5. Squidward's Wants. From the get-go, we've known Squidward always wanted a career with his clarinet.
Right.
However, due to being less successful, he's tried his hands at art and dance as well. But he's failed nearly
His
every
art is
step of
actually
the
good.
way.
I don't know
He
why
only
they
blamed
be hating on
himself, or
Squidward. Like he
can
just cursed
In
at this
episodes
point
like
because
Suction
he
Cup
actually
Symphony, Artist
can,
Unknown, Band
paint.
Geeks, Squidward Tentacle Pants, Best Day Ever, and The Patty Caper, Squidward succeeds in his artistic dreams. Does that mean that Squidward is actually talented and in reality people like his work? Well, no.
Oh.
In other episodes like I Heart
Oh.
Dancing, Choir Boys, Are You Happy Now, and Snooze You Lose, Squidward shows no talent in what he does. So, does that mean he sucks? Well, there's one interesting thing in the episode
I don't
Best
care.
Day
Squidward
Ever that might
can
explain
definitely paint.
everything. After Squidward does a brilliant concert, Patrick makes fun of Squidward for not knowing how to play the clarinet.
So why y'all cheer like it was good then?
This would explain that people hate Squidward because he's Squidward, not because of
So
his music.
why did they?
Since when do you give two shrimps about customer service, Mr. Grouchy Squid Guy?
We see more of this
They don't
in the
understand
episode
Squidward.
Slimy
Y'all don't
Dancing,
get it.
and especially in the episode Squidward. Squidward does something everyone hates, but then SpongeBob does the exact same thing and suddenly everyone loves it. They hate his performance because he's Squidward. And this would explain the endings
Nobody
to a lot of
likes him.
episodes, because episodes like Suction Cup Symphony, Artist Unknown, Band Geeks, and Best Day Ever all ended with Squidward succeeding in the industry yet nothing ever coming of it. Because he's
Right,
Squidward,
like,
nothing
did you
will
even
ever
get money
come
off of that?
anything, no matter what he does.
What
But there might be
happened?
one more reason. Another person who's causing Squidward not to succeed in the arts. That's right,
Squilliam?
Mr.
Oh.
Krabs. We already know that Krabs
I
wants
was
to
gonna bring up
exploit
Squilliam
Squidward,
Fancy,
and to do
son.
so, Squidward can't be successful enough to leave the restaurant. And do you remember the first clip?
I sent him my play, and now he's gonna produce it. I quit.
But would he go out of his way to destroy Squidward's career
Yes,
just to force him
yes,
to stay?
yes,
Well,
he would.
Surprisingly, yes.
If you two do find that
'Cause he a hater.
bring it to
In the episode Culture Shock and The Place the Thing, Mr. Krabs
Even when pointed out one customer at his restaurant, Mr. Krabs could not take that. Like, girl, you was
actually more than
you know how
just
green
that.
somebody gotta
In
be
the
to
episode The Masterpiece, Mr. Krabs has Squidward make a sculpture of him, not telling him what the sculpture is going to be used for. By the end of the episode, Mr. Krabs changes his mind and doesn't display the sculpture he made, making it harder for Squidward to get.
I never feel bad when bad stuff happens to Mr. Krabs.
Squidward was in the episode Hello Bikini.
Now he get away with too
in the
much
episode,
shit.
Squidward and SpongeBob get picked up as a musical duo.
I remember
by
this
Colonel Caper,
episode.
who's a band manager. Just as they start to dream of fame and success, Mr. Krabs comes out of nowhere and takes over as their
Exactly.
manager to get in on
Like,
the
girl,
money. If he didn't
get
do that,
on.
then SpongeBob and Squidward would have become really successful.
Right.
Because of his greed,
SpongeBob can play
he
an instrument
had his
too.
own chances
The
of
ukulele,
becoming
I
rich,
think.
But he also sabotages
Look,
Squidward's
he can
career.
play.
And do you remember
Just
the clip
hating.
from before?
They both can quit that job, but SpongeBob loves his job too much, so he ain't going nowhere.
If Squidward doesn't make it big, then he can never leave the Krusty Krab. The real kicker is that this was Squidward's first chance to make it big, and Krabs sabotaged it. And this isn't crazy because in the same episode, Mr. Krabs is surprised to see that Squidward and SpongeBob pull the crowd with their music. Now it may seem a bit far-fetched, and I'll leave it up to your judgment. What is 100% true though, is that Mr. Krabs has made it so Squidward can't quit. He's put him in a cycle, and the cycle goes as follows. First, Squidward quits his job, hoping he makes it big in the arts. Then, he fails to get anything done in the industry. After being denied for music, he can't find a job because the people hate him. Because he can't find a job, he has to come back to the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs knows he can't leave and exploits his services. The cycle goes every time Squidward gets the idea to quit. Because of this, we see Squidward get scared whenever Mr. Krabs threatens to fire him. This would also explain sometimes when Squidward is actually happy to be fired. Those might be the moments when he actually wants to pursue his music career, but he's just needing that little push.
So, I'm fired? No more taking orders? No more interacting with customers? No more SpongeBob?
But Mr. Krabs might not just be sabotaging Squidward's music career. In the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs says that Squidward will be out of a job forever if he doesn't help find SpongeBob.
If you don't find him, you'll be out of a job forever!
When he says that, I think he doesn't just mean the Krusty Krab, but also from all of Bikini Bottom. Mr. Krabs has decided to ruin Squidward's life for his own gain. By sabotaging his music and professional career, he's made sure that Squidward is stuck in a loop, which always leads him back to the Krusty Krab. I think Mr. Krabs saw just how successful Jim became and made sure that no other employee had the balls to leave and become more successful than him. It's depressing, but it seems that we'll never know if Squidward gets out of the Krusty Krab and makes it
Poor
big.
Squidward.
Well, maybe we do know. In the season 14 episode PL1413, Plankton goes 2,000 years in the future. As he's exploring the future, Karen tells him
I remember this episode. This was a new one too.
Squidward did end up becoming a famous musician, but only after his passing, meaning that he suffered the rest of his life in the Krusty Krab.
That is fucked up.
It's a depressing ending, but
yes.
thank you for watching.
That is fucked up. I forgot. I watched the episode before, but damn, Squidward, he just can't win. It's like you're literally trapped. Like he literally can't. It's like even if Squidward did make it, it's like Mr. Krabs he always gonna find a way to ruin it so he can come back to the Krusty Krab. So there's nothing Squidward can do. Like, yeah, you are stuck working there forever. Very unfortunate. SpongeBob loves his job, so he ain't going nowhere. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and I'll see y'all in the next video.